Did I get here sitting next to you? But after all I've said, please don't forget.
Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the United Kingdom, promoting free movement, free trade and foreign policy cooperation between these countries. When many think of CANZUK and its proposed diplomatic arrangements, it is easy to presume that the four countries would work together in the same way as the European Union, forming a centralized government, court system and currency. But would this happen in practice? Would CANZUK become its own version of the European Union? While the EU does encompass free movement, free trade and foreign policy cooperation between its 27 member states, a CANZUK alliance would function very differently to its European counterpart. Firstly, there would be no supranational body creating laws within Canada, Australia, New Zealand or the United Kingdom.
The Commonwealth countries which would most easily fit in this new bloc would include Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the United Kingdom, a group collectively known as CANZUK. Collectively, these four countries have a combined GDP of $6.5 trillion, and they account for US $3.5 trillion in global trade. That means that a CANZUK global trade bloc would be the fourth largest economy in the world, behind only the US, China and the EU. Removing existing tariff barriers could substantially increase trade between these countries, particularly between Australia and the UK, which is currently our seventh largest trading partner, despite the tariffs imposed by their membership of the EU Customs Union. But there are more fundamental reasons why a CANZUK trade agreement than just the collective size of our economies. Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the UK all share close political, cultural and institutional ties that are based on our shared history and values.
There is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You're a citizen of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, or the UK and would like to travel, work, or go to school in one of the other 4 countries, you're going to be very interested in learning about the CANZUK proposal, because if it becomes active, you'll be able to freely move between all 4 countries without ever having to deal with any visas to go to work, to go to school, or to even start a business. Now, will this become reality? It's looking more and more likely that this will happen.
What is the horribly titled CANZUK? In a nutshell, it's an interesting idea for a new treaty between Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK that would radically alter how citizens of these countries can interact with each other. While none of these countries have officially started negotiating for something like CANZUK yet, basically what they're talking about is removing freedom of movement restrictions and tariff barriers between these countries. That would mean, theoretically, that you would have a much easier time moving between these countries. You might not even need a passport, or you'd have an easier time working in these countries. You wouldn't necessarily need a work visa. The people who are pushing this, mostly conservatives, have said that that's good for economic growth, and they are probably right. Economic studies do tend to support the idea that if laborers can move around easier and there are fewer barriers to trade, then that tends to increase economic growth on the whole. Which is a very boring thing to say, so now I'm just going to shout the word penis. Penis! While I'm tentatively supportive of this idea, I'm sympathetic to the critical idea of it as well, which is that why are only these 4 countries included? Why not Jamaica or Barbados, which are also developed parts of the Commonwealth? The usual defense is that they're not developed enough, but given who tends to be supporting this agreement, I'm not sure that's the real reason.
I've done a couple of videos on CANZUK, but I guess you're asking my personal opinion on it. So, to be honest with you, when I first read about it, I was pretty against it. I kind of, I feel like Australia's place really is in the Pacific, and that's kind of looking back to the empire, really is looking backwards. I'm a Republican essentially as well. But the more I looked into it, the more I've kind of come around to the idea, to be honest. It does make a fair bit of sense. So we are super similar countries, all four of us, and something like the travel arrangement, like I'm a skier, man. I would love to go to Canada. I would love to be able to go and work there. I see no problem with having people, Canadians or Britons, move to Australia either. I think that'd be all for the good. In terms of creating an economic bloc, that couldn't hurt either. I mean, Australia would be happy to sign free trade agreements with those countries. We are all super similar. In terms of like full-on geopolitics, I don't know. Australia needs all the friends it can get in the moment, so we are natural allies, but I don't know.
I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Your new empire?
Don't make me kill you.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.